4.8 times faster. That is what Apple says this box does with local AI prompts compared to the Mac Mini it replaces. Same aluminum, same footprint, same ports on the front. Inside, it is Apple's first 2-nanometer chip and the first Apple silicon ever built with 2 neural engines instead of 1. This is not another routine chip update. It is also a machine that nobody outside Apple has tested yet, and it has a ceiling in it that decides whether it is worth your money. So, worth the hype? Let's go through the receipts. Here is what shipped. On August 25th, Apple announced a new Mac Mini. The entry model runs the M6. 12 CPU cores, 12 GPU cores, and up to 170 gigabytes per second of memory bandwidth. $899, or $799 on education. Subscribe because every week I take one hype tech story and read the primary source instead of the headline about it. There's also a bigger one with the M5 Pro at $1699, and both of them get Wi-Fi 7, Bluetooth 6, and 2.5 gigabit Ethernet. Now here is the detail almost every write-up skipped, and it is the whole reason those numbers look so large. The Mac Mini skipped a generation. It went from the M4 from 2024 straight to the M6. There was never an M5 Mac Mini. So when Apple says 40% faster processor, that is one product generation carrying 2 generations of silicon. And the silicon itself changed shape. The M6 is Apple's first 2-nanometer chip, and it landed in a desktop before it landed in a phone. The graphics now have a neural accelerator inside every single core, which this machine never had. And the neural engine doubled. 2 blocks of 16 cores, 32 total, that the system can run at the same time. That is not a spec bump. That is a different class of machine wearing the same box. So what does that buy you? In Apple's own testing, prompt processing in LM Studio runs up to 4.8 times faster than the M4 Mac Mini, and up to 13.5 times faster than the M1. Artificial intelligence tasks, up to 4 times faster. Graphics, up to 2 times faster. Storage, up to 2 times faster. And every one of those numbers carries the same asterisk. Apple ran them. Apple published them. Pre-orders opened on the 25th, and the first units ship on September 22nd, which means that as I record this, not one independent lab on this planet has benchmarked this chip. Macworld said out loud that they will put the claims in their own lab. So take these for what they are. Manufacturer claims. And here is the ceiling. The M6 tops out at 32 gigabytes of unified memory. On a machine being sold for local artificial intelligence, that is the entire story. 32 gigabytes runs models up to roughly 20 billion parameters at 4-bit, and then it stops. 70 billion wants 64 or more. The unified memory boxes from AMD and NVIDIA generally start at 128. The model in that video right there, Quinn 3.8, is exactly the kind of thing that does not fit. And it gets tighter. The M6 has Thunderbolt 4, not 5, so you cannot cluster them for distributed inference. Apple put Thunderbolt 5 in the M5 Pro, announced the very same day. And those 32 gigabytes cost $400 extra. So the workstation is not $899. It is $1299. So, worth the hype? It depends completely on what is already on your desk. Coming from an M1 or an M2, and you actually work with artificial intelligence, with creative tools, or with automations. Buy. That 13.5 times figure is measured against the M1 specifically. You're jumping 4 generations, and the double neural engine is real hardware, not a software update. Already sitting on an M4. Wait. The gap Apple claims over your machine is 1 product generation. Nobody outside Apple has verified any of it, and September 22nd is 4 weeks away. Waiting costs you nothing. And if you mostly browse, write, and stream, skip it. Here is where the price finally matters. Until May, this exact machine was $599 with the same 16 gigabytes and the same 256 gigabyte drive. $300 more for a neural engine you will never touch. That video right there explains where that money went. Every week, one hype story checked against the primary source. Subscribe.